Hello, everyone. This is Independent Conservative. I am Ryan Bolin. Thank you all for joining me. I want to read this transcript to you guys from Chris Wallace, former journalist, I believe, from Fox News, who is now really, I don't know what he is now. I don't know if he's conservative, he's Republican, he's neutral. I don't know. This guy's so off the wall. It's just unbelievable. But apparently he did an interview with actor Robert De Niro. Yeah, let me clear my throat for this. And he did an interview with actor Robert De Niro, and Robert De Niro essentially said that because he's played gangsters in gangster movies, he knows a gangster when he sees one, and he's accusing Trump of being a gangster. Let me just read you some of this. I mean, he's serious. This is not a joke. You know, these people are so deranged. They literally believe the crazy stuff that they're saying is accurate, right? That is really, I know what I'm talking about. Okay, but anyway. By the way, this is from Red State. This piece is an opinion piece. So when I read some of the editorial parts, you're gonna know it's an opinion piece based on the words. Okay. All right. So anyway, except the part where Robert De Niro actually starts talking. Okay. And I'm going to read you that. It says, the title of the article is Chris Wallace's famous gangster actor, Robert De Niro, has street cred to call Trump a gangster. Yeah. Along with Hollywood meathead Rob Reiner, La La Land's Robert De Niro is undoubtedly one of the most Trump-loathing people on the planet. Okay. The venom spewed by those two leftists against the former president is so toxic that the unintended humor is off the charts. And I would guess it is unintended, because when I'm about to read, she was just retarded to me. Well, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to use that term, but I said it, so it is. It is. Can't take it back. Such was the case on Friday when Wallace trouted onto the set of CNN News Central to pimp his latest episode of HBO's Max's, quote, Who's Talking to Chris Wallace? With De Niro. In both shows, Wallace fawned over TDS-riddled De Niro, Trump derangement syndrome riddled, labeling Trump a, quote, gangster, and ridiculously claimed that the ad hominem against Trump means more coming from the veteran actor because he has played gangsters in movies. No, really? No, really, is what he's saying. You know, at least Wallace was honest about why De Niro came on his show. And apparently, this is the transcript of Wallace's words about this. Well, what stood out is the fact that, frankly, people come on our shows, because actors do, because they have something they want to promote. Robert De Niro, and of course he's going to be honest about this, because to not be honest about it, people that watch your show is going to say you talking crazy. Okay, what other reason would we want to watch you? Robert De Niro has nothing he wanted to promote. He just wanted to talk politics, and he really wanted to take down Donald Trump. Take a look. In the previous clip, Wallace asked, "You really worried that if he were to win again?" And I'm not saying this like it's such a far-fetched notion. If he were to win again, that he would not give up power. De Niro replied, "You know he won't. You know he won't. You know he won't. He even said it. He's never going to give it up. And anybody who deludes themselves in thinking that he is, shame on you." And then it only gets, so Wallace goes and says, "You have compared the Trump family to a gangster." This stuff can't be real, though. I guess it's all in entertainment, right? "You have compared the Trump family to a gangster family, which is something coming from you. What do you mean by that?" De Niro replied, "Well, they are because he thinks he's a gangster." He does. Whatever. He does everything like a gangster. Does he? I don't think that gangsters in the world would think much of him, because and this is literally how I guess this man is talking. It doesn't make any sense. I'm reading literally how it's copied down there, the transfer of what he was saying. I don't know if he's bumping into his words or what, or putting phrases together that don't match, that don't relate. I have no clue, but this is what I'm reading. He says, "I don't think that gangsters in that world would think much of him because you in any what? There's honor among thieves. There's honor in anything. What? he has Biden syndrome to me here. If this is actually how he was talking, he has Biden syndrome. Anyway, if you don't keep your word and do the right thing with people, no matter what profession you're in, you are going to get ostracized. And in that world, it's a little harder. Wallace agreed and then some. Yeah, it's more than being ostracized. Well, when you say that there are gangsters, in what way? And then De Niro, I guess this is his answer. You know, that's what I found so fascinating, Sarah. Here is Robert De Niro, perhaps the most, I'm sorry, this is, my apologies, this is Wallace talking to us. Here is Robert De Niro, perhaps the most famous gangster actor in the world, saying that the gangsters, well, let me read this. Forgive me. I'm going far ahead of myself. Following the clip, Wallace went full clown car with his CNN colleagues. So now, of course, as I said, this is Wallace talking now, okay? And this, I guess this is his assessment. You know, that's what I found so fascinating, Sarah. Here is Robert De Niro, perhaps the most famous gangster actor in the world, saying that the gangsters he knows, and he admits he knows some members of the mob and has certainly come across them in his 50 years in acting in New York. He says they would have nothing to do with Donald Trump. That's all I'm going to read right there. Yeah. That's, I mean, in other words, what he's essentially saying, the way I interpret this, what Chris Wallace is saying in so many ways is that, as the heading of this article says, Robert De Niro has street cred ability, or street cred as they put it, because for many years he has played the role of a gangster. And so he knows a gangster when he sees a gangster, okay, because he's played this role in many of his movies. And I'm pretty sure Robert De Niro had to study gangsters, to study their mindset, their attitude, their approach to things in order to be an effective gangster in the films he played in, obviously. But to say that Trump is a gangster, or to imply that Trump is a gangster, is just out of the box, crazy Trump derangement syndrome, the way I see it, on another level, okay? Because what attitudes or mannerisms that Trump is portraying, because Robert De Niro didn't give them, based on what I've read, I'm pretty sure there may have been more in the interview, but what examples that Trump is portraying, or mannerisms and actions that he's portraying that indicates that he's acting like a gangster or is a gangster? In what way? Somebody please leave it in the comment box below, because I'm confused. I've never met a gangster. I mean, I don't know. I mean, maybe I did, maybe I did. I remember many years ago, back in like 2007, I worked at the Cleveland Public Library in security. And that was a high maintenance security job, right? You know, and the chief of security, and this is no offense to anyone, so please, you know, look, if you don't take this personal, but the chief of security, I thought, was a gangster. He was an Italian guy, older Italian guy in his 70s, and older Italian guy. Every other word was an F word, and that's what when I watch gangster movies, the ones with the Italians, and that's usually they always cuss a lot in the films, except maybe the Godfather movies. I hardly hear them cussing in the Godfather, but others they always cussing like Goodfellas, you know. Excellent movie, by the way. But at any rate, they're always cussing. Every other word is F word. And when I would listen to this guy, chief of security, I always feared that he was a high-level gangster, because the way he would talk and the way he would do things made me at the time think that he was a gangster. I mean, he could fire people and hire people at any time. I remember one time I was sitting in the back of was one of the security officers who was driving, and the chief of security was, I was in the back, and the chief of security was obviously on the passenger side. And I'm riding in the back, and these guys, they're taking me. I forget exactly where they was taking us. And I remember the chief of security talking to the other security officer that was driving in a way that made me feel like I'm listening to a gangster talking. He's like, you know what, guy, and he was an Italian. The chief of security was Italian. And he's like, No offense to Italians, please don't take. This is the way I thought back then, okay? So just keep it in context. I love Italians, okay? Okay. He's like, hey, take care of this guy back here. It's a good guy back here. Take care of him. You better take care of him. The way he was talking made it feel like, that's like, man, I hope I'm doing the right thing. And then when it would be time to go home, he'd have everyone gathered around and they'd be talking. All the security officers be standing there waiting for him to give the go. You say, okay, now you guys can go. But we would stand around waiting for him, and he'd talk all these dirty jokes and talk all dirty and everything. And everybody, yeah, laughing and everything. And he looked at me, he's like, you probably think we're a bunch of degenerate, low-life pieces of S, And I'm like, whatever, man, whatever you guys, it didn't make no difference to me. I thought he was a gangster. I wasn't about to say nothing. Okay, all right. What about this? I wouldn't be arguing with this cat. I wasn't finna do it. But my point in saying that is, that's the closest I've ever come to someone whom I thought was a gangster. Okay, but at any rate, the whole idea of him acting in roles, Robert De Niro acting in roles, and Chris Wallace thinking that this gives some kind of street credibility to know a gangster when he sees a gangster, to me, is stretching things way out of the heavens, bro. What actions is Trump giving to suggest even remotely, or mannerisms even remotely, that he's a gangster? Stop it, man. Stop it. You got to reach for things to try to demonize the man, okay? I wonder what Robert De Niro thought about Trump before he became president. I wonder. Did he like him? Did he dislike him? I don't know. What do you guys think? Even in the comment box below. I wonder, though. I really wonder. This is crazy and insane, but it's comical, because I wanted to do a video on it because I thought I think it's comical. This man is so deranged that he literally believes this. He literally believes Trump is a gangster, and maybe not gangster in a classical sense, but gangster in his mannerisms. But what ways? In what way? It makes no sense. It makes no sense. These people are gone, Robert De Niro, and it's starting to get to the point where I'm starting to dislike Robert De Niro, although I believe he's one of the greatest actors in American history. I will not take that from him. I don't care how Trump deranged he becomes. He can become so Trump deranged that he starts turning orange like Donald Trump. I don't know. Look, it doesn't matter to me. He's one of the greatest actors in all of American history. I'll watch his films no matter how much he demonizes Trump. I'll still watch his older movies. I'll still watch him. The Godfather Part 2, Goodfellas. I'll still watch him. Okay. Some people can argue Heat. Although he wasn't a gangster in Heat, he was a professional thief, a master thief, if you will. That was an excellent movie. If you didn't see that movie, you need to see it. Oh my God. Robert De Niro and Al Pacino together, two of arguably the greatest actors in American history. You can't make that up, man. You can't make that up. It's a dream world. But anyway, yeah. I just had to do a video on it because I thought that was insane. And it just goes to show you, to sum this up, that when you have so much hate for an individual, you will start coming up with some delusional concepts about that person. You have to dig deep into the sewer of make-believe to pull out something to demonize that person. And it makes absolutely no sense at all. And that's where Robert De Niro is right now. And Chris Wallace has just fed him this. He just fed him. He's feeding into it. Chris Wallace is an idiot anyway. He was the one that interviewed. He was the moderator for the first interview between Trump and Biden, which was the moderator for the first debate, rather. And that was terrible. He kept interrupting Trump. Mr. President, Mr. President, Mr. President, Mr. President. And it was bad. Trump kept interrupting Biden. Biden kept interrupting Trump. The moderator, Chris Wallace, kept interrupting Trump. It was terrible. It was terrible. So this guy is terrible. Chris Wallace, I don't know what he is. He's a wallop. I don't know. So he feeds into that. So when you feed it, when garbage mentalities feed into garbage mentalities, you get garbage. That's all you get. So yeah, that's what I had to say about that. What do you guys think? Leave a comment in the comment section below. Like, share, subscribe to my channel. God bless you all, and see you again.